Let's go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Trail Trash Podcast, featuring three of the trashiest trail runners in the game, Jason, Garrett, and John, to talk all things running and whatever else we care to talk about tonight, which is crappy ass officiating in the NFL. But we'll talk about that later.
I think
Before
we
we
should
get
change
started,
that. I think we
hold
should
on.
change that. We are not three of the. We are the three trashiest that there are.
We are. And you know what? Before we get started, I just want to complain a minute, okay? I've spent the better part, and I'm
Man, I
not
wish I
joking.
had a soundboard. I could put boomer alerts right here.
No, look, I have spent the better part of 4 hours trying to book a trip to New York. Okay. Okay, first off, we have a bunch of free stuff, okay, right? We get all these free benefits when you sign up for all these travel cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we call to get our free night. We have a free night with Hilton, which is a high caliber hotel chain. Okay, it's not the La
Paris?
Quinta,
You
not
have
the La
a
Quinta.
Paris Hilton? You get a free night with Paris? One night in Paris?
Yeah, I'll take what I can get, buddy. Okay, so look, we're going to my favorite city on the planet, which is New York City, and we're trying to book a hotel. So we call three times, and they tell us the free night is only good Monday through Thursday. Okay. So then we call back and we're trying to book. We finally figured it out. We're trying to book a room for a Thursday and coming back on a Saturday. We're only doing like a few nights over there. Okay. And we're on hold for 30 minutes while somebody is updating a phone number. Okay. Last time I checked, to type in 7 digits, it doesn't take 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay. So then they come back to us, right? And then we're trying to figure out how to book our airplane ticket, which we can't find a cheap one coming back. So we get to and I know both you guys can understand this, or at least Garrett can. I know John probably don't. You get to the fuck it stage, okay, of it all, right? And that's where we got at the end, right? So we booked a one-way ticket to New York flying because we couldn't get a cheap one back. We got our free night. We used a credit for the second night. Who knows how in the hell we're getting back, when we're getting back. All I know is we're going sometime in March, and I'm excited about it. 4 hours later, maybe even five.
So
Goodness gracious.
basically, the takeaway from this is that Jason has exquisite taste and expects wonderful accommodations, but at the price of a hotel that's like a half star.
First off, this hotel is not a half star. The
No,
Conrad,
I didn't say it
It's a
was. I
it's
said
a
you
one
wanted
star.
that at the price of a hotel that is like a half star, if even.
look,
What do you
all I'm
consider a
saying
half
is,
And he
star
will
hotel?
negotiate, and if you are a poor hotel manager, he's going to be negotiating with you on the phone for 4 hours. You poor soul.
you damn well
Pretty
believe
much.
so. You damn well believe so. That's all I got to say. But anyway, we'll talk about something other than that because I'm done talking about it. I've had so many alcoholic beverages tonight during this process. Be glad that I was not on the phone with the representative because I'm having the Star Party Panther Creek IPA that John, did you have one of these at the Snowball?
No, I somehow made it out of there without having a beverage.
You should have taken one for the road. So
Was that the sour one or
this is the IPA. It's a West Coast IPA. I don't know,
Ooh, it's hazy then.
I've had about maybe three or four. I don't know how many I've had. It doesn't matter. Regardless, it's very good.
Those
Shout
are
out to
those are 16 ounce cans?
it's a big one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 16 ounces. A big shout out to Panther Creek though for sponsoring Snowball and providing. They provided beer, guys, to this race, and that's something that you don't see a lot. Free beer, unless you've got a hookup, right? I mean, we know
Mm-hmm.
Jason Green's got the hookup with the Yetis because he's a beer dude. But Panther Creek makes some pretty good beer. Just saying. So
funny
shout
enough,
out.
I was on a trail yesterday called the Panther Creek Trail.
in the Smokies, I take it. Was that the one with all the blowdown?
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of blowdowns yesterday. It was some tough going. It was also pouring rain.
The rain was pretty terrible. Me and Will ran through some garbage rain and went and had a coffee, and I had breakfast, and he just sat there and watched me eat.
I bet you
And we
didn't
know,
have a creek crossing that was waist deep.
nope,
Yeah.
pass,
I
pass.
don't know if I'd do any of the creek crossings in Murfreesboro, no matter how deep they were.
That's facts right there, because who knows what's in the water.
I don't-
Don't drink the water, folks.
There's a whole
Not over there.
difference between
So if you remember, guys, not to rekindle old memories, but I did see somebody bathing in the creek
Like
by
I said,
Dodge's Chicken here locally. So don't drink the water by Dodge's Creek.
well, you know, that same you're talking about like under the bridge, right? Under that
Close
bridge
to the
behind
bridge. Yeah,
Dodge's.
it was
Yeah.
close to the bridge. Yeah.
There was one time we were on a cow rod and like 3 or 4 of us ran under there, and there was a person urinating into that section of the creek just under that bridge.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know how it'd have to be like little puddles for me to go through. Because I just
I
don't
mean,
trust.
I mean, and let's be serious for a minute. Let's be serious for a minute, because you know that greenway and stuff is it is really great, and at the same time, it also, we joke a lot about seeing homeless people on there and people naked taking baths, and it's a really sad situation, because two homeless people lost their life on the greenway during the snowstorm that we had a couple weeks ago. They found two dead folks on the greenway, obviously homeless folks, and it's truly sad and tragic. So, not making light of that situation whatsoever. I know we joked about the water and people bathing in it. Obviously, that's the best she could do. And it's a really sad situation. So don't want anybody to get thinking we're making light of that or any of that whatsoever, because coming from somebody who did not grow up with any sort of means whatsoever, it's definitely tough when you don't have
And being in the housing business myself, I mean, there is a homeless problem, and the lack of affordable housing for a large number of people is a
Yeah, well, I
major
mean
problem.
that statistic over the weekend said what, like 50% of renters now can afford it.
It wouldn't surprise me. Rent, and especially in the Nashville area, is astronomical. And unfortunately, all of their money coming from their savings is going towards their rent payment. So they can't necessarily afford a down payment on a house. And that is a rabbit hole for a whole other podcast that's probably not running related. So
No, it's not. But I want to say this real fast. When we went to the Billy Joel concert, we went to that mall that sits downtown. I don't even know what the name of it is. It's down there near the Ryman. It's like an outdoor mall area, okay? And there was some
oh, right
apartment.
across the street, there's a real it's a real nice little outdoor mall. Isn't there?
But there's an apartment
Mhm.
building
Mhm.
adjacent to it and up. So we're sitting there and we're eating, right? And so I'm like, I wonder how much these apartments are. Studio apartment. You guys know what a studio is? $2,800
Unsprite. Good
in
God.
downtown Nashville, folks.
What was the square
Down,
footage on it? I mean, I know studios aren't big, but what was the square footage on a studio?
it was like 700.
700. My guess would have been 850 to 9.
Dude, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And like Garrett said, it's just absurd. And that's a whole nother podcast we can get into. But um let's start with one of the South's best trail races, and I think it's fair to say it's one of the best trail races. I think
Yeah, in
lost
its 30th year now.
30th year now, and put on by a legendary trail runner himself. But it is the Mountain Mist 50K, and it was this weekend. at Monsanto Park in near Huntsville. And as always, it's funny with Mountain Mist, and I think John, you would agree. There's a couple of races that always have trashy weather, right? One is Black Toe, which is this coming weekend, and two, Mountain Mist.
Well, I mean, it's just the nature of this time of year in the Southeast. Like, if you're going to run a race in January, it's probably going to be cold and it's probably going to be wet. We lucked
That's
out at Snowball not having any wet weather. Um, though, let's see, didn't we have something like like some rain blow through the night before?
yeah.
But I mean, it was still fairly dry for this time of year, so we lucked out there. But yeah, cold and wet.
Cold and wet. And so this year it was sold out.
Sells out.
Sold out
Yeah,
more than 475 runners was towing the line. And you know, the winner of it was, well, there was two winners, the male side and the female side. The male side, the winner was Jeffrey Stern, Mill Valley, California. He came in at 4:13:58. Holy cow.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those courses. Because let's see, I've run it twice. You ran it a half time.
21 miles.
Jason, or let's see, Garrett hasn't Garrett hasn't run it yet, but he will one day.
If you say so.
I
It's
don't
kind
know
of one
about
of those
that.
courses that's like deceptively tough, right? Like it's
You ran half of it.
it's not like a big burly mountain race, but
2/3 of it, first off.
2/3. Okay, so we have 2 and 2/3 finishes between the three of us.
Yes.
Either way, you didn't see the finish line. Doesn't matter how much you ran, you didn't see the finish line.
That's the Pat Mahomes too. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like a big burly mountain race like you would get out here in like Eastern Tennessee or Western North Carolina, but it'll put you through the ringer. Like it's fairly technical, wouldn't you say?
It's fairly technical. And what's interesting,
Close to 4,000 feet of elevation gain. Not any like long sustained climbs, but a lot of tiny little rollers that kind of add up. So
Rolling hills are what get you. I mean,
well, first off, there is one long ass climb, and it's right after that.
Oh, you're thinking about
After the ball fields. After the ball fields.
Okay,
The one you.
but I mean, it's not like a 2 mile climb or
No.
whatever. But yeah, you get it. Well, okay, so maybe you get a few on there, but it's not like several miles worth of climbing at a time. Obviously, Waterline is the one that people know about because it's kind of like a section where you actually have to do some actual like climbing. That one's pretty brutal. And then coming out of McKay Hollow at the end into like the last mile, that one's a little tough there at the end, but yeah.
So 4:13:58 won it, and he got second place by more than 13 minutes. And the second place runner was, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but you know what? For the sake of you guys laughing at me, I want to give it a whirl.
it must not be Japanese.
Michael Lautzenheis of Alabama. He was 23. First place.
That?
Huh?
How do you spell that?
That's Loutzheise.
Can you drop that in the chat?
I would love to drop it in the chat, John.
John, don't go hooked on phonics on it. I don't think phonics is going to help you with some of this.
I mean, I technically had enough credits for a German minor.
Oh, John is going to drop.
So maybe I can help out here.
Ooh, John's German is Jason's Japanese. All
Who
right.
would have ever have known that John?
That's an insult to my German.
Or is it a compliment to his Japanese?
Lautzenheis.
I was close. Lautzenheis. I was close. And then third place was Jack Martin. 19 of White Bluff, Tennessee was in at 4:30. So I'm guessing Nathan Holland had to be like right on the heels
Yeah. So
of
funny
this third.
story about Jack. I ran a significant portion of my first 50K with his father. I believe his name is David. That kid is he runs collegiately currently. I can't remember where.
I am your father.
I want to
So
say UTC, but that's probably not right.
probably not. Then on the female side, we had
What's the record there while you're looking that up? John, what's the record of Mountain Mist?
It's like in the 330s.
Do you know who set that?
It's either
probably what's his name? The guy who
it's
wins
either
it every
David Riddle or Scott Breeden.
probably David Riddle.
I can't remember which
Deanna
one it is.
so Deanna Doan of Jacksonville Beach, Florida
I
was
did see that. She's part of Run Bum. She's a co-RD.
she is part of the
Yeah,
run bump.
yeah,
She
I think
came
she's a
in.
co-RD for all that stuff.
That's right. 5:52:02. She was
And Jason's probably mispronouncing her name as well.
you know what? I'm not pronouncing her name. Not pronouncing her name. It's Doan. She was, which is wild. The first female was 37th overall.
Okay, so the course record here for the men is David Riddle in 336. And for the women, it's Janice Anderson who has it in 439.
Woo!
She set that all the way back in 1997.
So
any fast ladies want to take a shot?
So Deanna was at 5:58:01. Oh no, she was 5:52:02, and in second place was Sarah Gibson, who won it last year at 5:58:51, while third place was Kimberly Freiberg at 6:24:12.
Yeah,
So that's your top
definitely
three.
Definitely some impressive times given the conditions.
And for those who are following along, the 49ers just tied the Lions 24-24. So
the Lions are a team of destiny. They're going to come back.
They are. They're going to win it all. So
Dan Campbell's going to lace up and put some pads on and go out there and score the winning touchdown.
He
That's the kind of coach he is.
He absolutely is. But so that was your top three on each side. That is that. You know what's interesting about that course, and correct me if I'm wrong, John. Since I've only ran 2/3 of it,
yeah, there's a whole third you haven't seen.
The last third is the hardest part of the race. Am I right in saying that?
In my opinion.
Yeah, because the first 2/3, I remember, other than that climb after the ball field, it wasn't that hard up to the part where I dropped, it seemed like. So I heard after that was when it got not fun.
And that's why he dropped out at 2/3.
I dropped out.
No, it's because he didn't have any chapstick.
I dropped out for other reasons that we have covered on the other podcasts.
Because of rookie mistakes.
Not really rookie mistakes. If Will was on, Will would say, I told you not to wear what you wore, and you did it anyway, so you deserve what you got.
Fair enough.
That's the absolute
Where
fact.
was your squirrel's nut butter?
You know what? I need to buy some more squirrel's nut butter. I'm out.
So we already established how cheap Jason is. This was before we established the podcast. So he didn't get like that 20% discount code that we ran during December. So he refused to pay full price for some S&B, and that cost him a DNF.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
No, what cost me?
You should have called and tried to negotiate and maybe use some of his points.
You know what? I wonder if I could get points on squirrel's nut butter. Well, in all seriousness, I thought I had it in the back of my pack, and obviously I didn't. And
no, you found a chicken nugget instead.
That chicken nugget's not going to help your nuggets.
Ain't that the truth? That is that is 100% true. But yeah, I mean, so as far as we know, that was the only super big race of this past weekend. We may have missed something. I
That
don't
was the
know.
only, let's be honest, that was the only race we know anything about that we have enough
I mean,
knowledge to
Um,
comment on.
folks,
if
and
we
that's
missed
why
you, we're sorry, but feel free to slide into the DMs. We would love to have a discussion with you.
folks, and that's why you're listening to us, okay? Because if you wanted the Rolls Royce of podcast, you would not be listening to us. You would be listening to a different one.
We're
You
the
know,
Pontiac Firebird of all this.
we are the Pontiac Firebird. We are the Smokey and the
Hey,
Bandit.
that is a good car.
It was a good car. It just isn't the Cadillac, and it's not the Rolls Royce. But I will say this much. I did mention this in the group chat. I am not going to be wearing topos after I get out of these shoes. They have worn out so fast.
Really?
And they're really not comfortable. They're just not comfortable. I mean, it's not a bad shoe. It's not my shoe, is all I'm saying.
So
I'm sure it's a shoe.
basically, what Jason is saying is that Ultra has brainwashed him now. So unless he feels that tearing of his Achilles tendon when he's running, then he thinks it's a bad shoe.
Well, no, it's
That's
still going to be the trail that did it, or he's going to step on a log or a rock or something. And that's what it's never going to be the shoe for him.
Golden Harper appeared at the base of my bed the other night and told me that I did not need to wear another topo shoe again.
He popped out of your closet.
He manifested himself in front of me. It
He
said,
walked out of his closet
He
like
popped out of his closet in his first in what was it, Wasatch? I can't remember what his first 100 was. I think it was Wasatch.
see.
Um,
I'm imagining a scene like the Sandlot where
that's
Babe
exactly where
Ruth
I'm
comes
going
out of the
for. He
closet
comes out.
in the Jet Rodriguez's dream. And
hmm
he's just like, kid, just remember, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Remember, kid, 4 millimeter drops are not as great. Zero drops are where it's at. It just fades into the closet.
that's right. That's right. No, look, my issue with the shoe is the fact that it's not it just I don't feel like I get the support I need. Um, it does have a nice wide toe box, but it's just not for me.
So if
Fair
anyone who
enough.
has any weight with the Ultra Red team, like what are you waiting for? Jason is blowing out his both his Achilles tendons. It's probably a matter of time before his knees goes. But man, he is going to defend your brand to the grave.
100%. 100%. It is
That's
still
some real Jonestown type stuff.
look, it is still the Via Olympus is still the best road shoe I put on. Trail shoe is still the Olympus. It's still the best trail shoe I've ever put on. And I will stand by my picks. Just
Fair
saying.
enough. Speaking of picks, let's talk about some ethics.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, you like that segue. That's a pretty good segue, isn't it? So,
Ooh.
how do you guys feel? John brought this up pre-chat or pre-show. How do you feel about runners screenshotting races or race picks rather than paying for them? Have you done it? Would you consider doing it? And where do you stand? I, for one, have not personally done that on ones that weren't watermarked because I understand that these people were out there doing a courtesy, taking pictures of me looking at my worst. And so I either just don't buy them or sometimes you get lucky and it's becoming more commonplace, but a lot of race directors are buying the total photos or maybe just certain ones. I guess I don't know if they're all of them. I guess it just depends on the race. And then giving them out to you for free that way. Have I gone back and bought some? Yes. Years down the road, it was like, oh shoot, I thought I bought those, but apparently I didn't. So I have gone back and purchased ones from previous races. But I just don't think I could sleep at night essentially stealing someone else's work.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no technicality to it. That's actually what it is. Um, Copyright law protects those images.
Are they?
Um,
I mean, and there's really, I don't think there's any way that you could protect it, because you can't necessarily control someone screenshotting their phone. Um, so the best you could do is probably just throw this big giant watermark on there and say this is what it looks like. If you want it without the watermark, it's going to cost you $15, $20, however much it is. Um,
so if it was me, let me tell you what I'd do.
Oh, here comes Mr. Cheap.
Tell you what I'd do.
He'd
If
put
I
it on his
was
Christmas list. He'd say, "Honey, can you buy me my race photos?"
if I was the photographer, what I would do is I would make it to where when you screenshotted the photo, a watermark of a large penis would come over the whole photo. Game, set, and match. It's over. Who's going to post
If
that?
I cared much,
Look at that. I got John. Look, I
I'd
got
edit.
John. Look at John. I got John. John's like, why didn't I think of this? So
If I cared much about our ratings and reviews or kids listening, I'd try to edit that out. But right now, I'm just gonna
I
leave
was
it in.
like,
Just be
that's going
like,
to be the
Jason
promo
said
for,
this.
first off,
yeah,
I use the proper terminology for it. I use the
You did.
the anatomical word of it. I
You
did
did.
not use the derogatory term of it.
No, you
Okay.
didn't. You
I am
didn't.
being very high class right now. I could have went low class, but I went high class.
When have we ever stayed high class?
We really aren't. But anyway, my point is, you know, there are ways to really do that. And I say this with knowledge because I know of people that have made it to where when you screenshot it, it automatically makes a watermark appear on it. But anyway, um, it's theft at the end of the day. And if you screenshot somebody else's work that they have taken the time to do, you're stealing from them. You might as well go into a 7-Eleven, grab a stick of beef jerky, grab you a 40, a Coke 45, and walk out the door with it because you're stealing from somebody who has put in a lot. Because first off, let's just talk about how much time they put into it. First off, they travel to it, right?
Yep.
And for some photographers, like Pete, for example, Pete Schreiner, who, if you've not seen it, check out Pete Schreiner Photography, one of the best photographers in the game. He travels hours upon end to these races, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he spends time out. If it's raining, he's out in the rain. If it's snowing, he's out in the snow. He is out in, if it's hot, he is out in whatever conditions it's in, taking these photos. And then he has to go home. He has to upload them, possibly edit them. I don't know if he does, and then post them, right? And you think about that. Would you
It's a lot
want
of time.
somebody, right? The time, it's just theft.
Now, how do you
right.
feel
If
about
you've
if
been
you?
at
How would
something
you feel
like,
if you were to screenshot one that had a watermark on it?
I
it's
mean,
still
if
unethical.
yeah, I mean, I don't
Oh,
think I don't even know if I've done that.
I don't think I
Only
have.
pictures,
Well,
the
you
only
could. Well, because you can download them with the watermark. That I have
what's
seen.
what's crazy is that I just saw this today on a phone review I watched, but the Android phones have came up with this way to remove elements from photos. So I literally watched a guy take a watermark and he removed the watermark using his phone. And so you never even knew that the watermark was there. So if you have anybody that's tech savvy and has a really nice flagship Android phone, hashtag Pixel, hashtag S24, 23, you can do that. But regardless, it's still shoddy and you shouldn't do it. Just pay for the photos. Like, look, I paid,
it's still illegal.
it is
um,
illegal.
But
I
man,
paid,
just think
I,
about like even like a 50K. Let's take Mountain Mist for example. If you have like a photographer out there who's doing like say like they take a few pictures at packet pickup, they take pictures at the pre-race, they take pictures of the race, maybe at multiple points throughout the course, pictures of the post-race. That is like a whole day there, maybe even like more. So you're looking at several hours of them being out there. Even if you have like a race that's like a couple hundred runners, say, I don't know, 300-400, like the Mist has, 3 or 4 photos per people. That's You're looking at thousands of photos, and that's
Yeah.
a lot of time to spend in editing as well.
Yeah.
It really does. And until you've done that type of work, um, and I used to do some amateur photography, and I would spend hours just editing like 4 pictures.
Yeah, and I mean, if someone's dependent on like this for their livelihood, you're affecting that as well. So yeah, I mean, I have absolutely no problem paying for race photos like that. Even if they're like, paid for by the race and like say included my entry fee for like a few free downloads, I have no problem throwing a few bucks in like a tip jar, so to speak, if they have that available as well. Because I can tell, in some of these photos that they spent a lot of time on them, and I do appreciate it, especially when
Sure.
they look just really nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Or
I
or
think
you buy, because a lot of times you can buy stuff, especially if they're using SmugMug. So you may get your race photos for free, but you can buy
Yeah,
like
so you could get a
a
picture of
canvas or something, put it on a
yeah,
coffee
so you
mug
could
or something.
yeah. So what year was it you ran the Miss, Jason?
2 years ago, was it
2 years
right?
ago.
2 years
All
ago.
right. So if anyone wants a picture of the chafening on a keychain, you can go look up Jason's race photos from that year.
There you go.
So
Just don't look for him at the finish line because you won't see him there.
no, I won't be there. I am what you would call a DNF specialist, uh, third degree DNF specialist.
You working on the book for that?
I am. I'm writing a book on it, how to fail properly. Um, but in all seriousness, I have bought race photos. I bought the Nashville Rock and Roll. I wanted video, photo evidence, and of my first marathon, and even though I looked like I was dying in over half of them, I
I
was
mean, that's still like
glad.
a moment. That was still like a significant, event for you, and that should be
Sure,
celebrated.
sure, and I was glad I paid for them. I think I paid like 30 or 40 bucks for those freaking photos. But it was, you know what? I was supporting whoever took time to be out there to take those pictures. And I know Rock and Roll is a big organization. I have bought Smug, is it Smug Mug?
SmugMug is where a lot of them are.
Yeah, I bought from Smug Mug before, multiple times, from races. So, support, guys, support these people. I mean, don't be cheap. I mean, don't be cheap. I mean, look, if you
If
need,
Jason's giving you a lecture on not being cheap, then we have a real problem here.
look, if you can drop $130 for a freaking race entry, you can afford another 20 or 10 or a 5 to buy a photo. I mean, come on, people. Don't be cheap. Don't
Especially
be cheap.
since these are like, like local people, within your own community that you're supporting.
Sure. It's just
And odds
look,
are you're going to see him again,
look,
especially if you're running in the southeast. You're probably going to see Misty. She's going to be at him. You're probably going to see Pete. He's going to be at him. You're going to see these people over and over and over again. They're going to take your picture again. And if you want to
did
look
you
good,
Gary, did you buy a picture from Pete?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought you
that
did.
black and white one. Yeah.
Yep. And that is such a great image. And I think what gets lost in this, and I really would like to have Pete on the show. And of course I've interviewed Pete in my previous life, but I think race photographers are one of the most underrated people when you think about a race in general, because they capture all the moments and emotions of these races, right? That photo of Garrett where he looks like his life has just been pulled out of him by a nozzle.
Well, hold
Um,
on. The minute he took that picture, I knew he was there. I had saw him and went and talked to him before I went to the aid station table, so I knew he was there. And just to reflect on that a little bit, it's at the moment that I know something's about to go wrong, but I'm not quite sure what. So I'm not sure how to tackle it. And I see Pete out of the corner of my eye start picking up his camera. I'm like, he's going to take a picture of me where I look lost. And of course, I exhale. So it makes it look a whole lot worse. I'm like, and my cheeks are puffed out a little bit. And it's actually hanging in my office.
That's a
So, and
great
when
photo.
yeah, and when people come by, they're like, "What's this? What's the deal about this photo?" I tell them exactly. I say, a great photographer named Pete, he took it, and does a great job of capturing
Yeah, like that's the big difference.
your worst moments. Almost is what is what I feel he has a knack for. So, just
Yeah, and
based
like
on
that's
that
like one of
picture.
the big difference between like one of us taking a pictures on our phone because like I mean anyone can do that now, but I don't like I can look at that photo and I can feel that photo if that makes sense.
The composition is what separates great race photographers apart from your mom sitting on the trail taking a picture with her phone.
Unless your mom owns a Sony A7 and then
Look, and
she's
then she could take
taking
a picture with her eyes closed, and it's going to look just fine.
facts,
So,
facts, facts.
you ain't even going
100%.
to be in it, but it's going to be a great picture. Yeah.
Right. And I will say this much, you know, I don't love myself as much as Garrett loves himself to have a picture of myself hung up on a wall yet.
Look, it's my Drago picture.
Look,
So
I'm working
when I
on
get
it.
my redemption this year, I get to crumble it.
Look, my favorite race photo. There's two. One of them is at my first 50K, which was Yamacraw. Misty took that picture.
She's taking my other favorite picture, or other
Misty's
favorite pictures, actually.
Misty's fantastic.
Hmm.
And then the other one, Jesse took at one of the Yeti races. It's actually my profile picture at my Instagram page and my YouTube page. Um, so those are my two favorite shots.
Jesse
Um,
has a good eye for things too. He's phenomenally skilled.
yes, he's talented. And then of course I've never made it far enough in a race to have Pete take a picture of me. I'm hoping one day to make it far enough in a race to have
Look,
Pete
your
actually
best
get a
odds are
photo of
packet
me.
pickup or pre-race morning.
Right. I mean,
Takes one
every
of us, you know, takes one of us and like the bus, and we'll make sure you're in there.
There you go.
I hope one day to have a photo that Pete took of me, you know,
We can
because
do
I
it
honestly,
We can do it Olin Mill style. We
I
can
would
book
do
some
it.
time
Oh,
with him.
Mill. I can like
And
have a bib tape, taped across. But
one of
I
us can be
actually,
behind you, reaching around.
I actually think very highly of Pete. Pete is a Pete Schreiner. Again, check him out, guys, on Instagram. Pete Schreiner Photography. Um, Pete is a friend of all of us and a friend of the show. So give him a look. But I think that's a good call out on the photography piece. And that was something we meant to talk about on our own. So what else? What else we got?
How's training going for you guys? After last week, did you get any miles? Now I know that you're still rehabbing, for lack of a better way to describe it, but you still had your treadmill access. I did not get anything done last week. I took some bike rides just to stay moving with the ice and snow that we had. John, how's training been going for the last 2 weeks? Because 2 weeks ago we had our Ultra Runner of the Year episode. Last week we had Aaron Sapp. So we haven't really done much in terms of talking about how our training is going. So just how's training going for you guys? I've got a race in 11 weeks, and I'm not quite sure I'm where I would prefer to be. But I'm also not trying to let myself get that way because I don't want to start trying to play catch up and do more than I need to try to make up for what I haven't done and end up hurting myself or doing something else going to sacrifice or sabotage my races later in the year.
Right. I mean, where you're at is where you're at. You can only do what you can moving forward. Just try not to swing too far in the other way and overdo it. You'll be all
Right.
right.
Right. So it was very much one of those today. Like I was like, you know what? I could easily go get 3 extra miles. One, I left without any water. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. That's stupid. Don't do anything. I didn't take any snacks or anything like that. Because I had planned on just going out for 6. I ended up doing one more to get 7. Um, which was, an extra mile here or there. That's fine. But I did not want to do the extra 4. It would have been extra 3 at that point. without anything, just to make myself feel better today. For and last week I got one run in last week in the snow before it all turned to ice. Um, but it wasn't like I didn't do anything. So you have your designed recovery weeks a lot of times in a lot of the training plans that I've seen anyway. You kind of do these builds with a recovery week and then you build some more with a recovery week. Um, so I just treated it as a recovery week, focused a little more on mental things, did a lot of meditation and a little more R&R, hammered out some Theragun stuff, did a little extra stretching and just kind of counted it as a recovery week. So I didn't get in my own head about it.
Let me tell you what I did. I put on some NWA. I got on the treadmill
And complained about your foot.
and I hammered down.
Okay,
And
Cam Haynes.
and I can't remember how many I got. It don't even matter at this point. But this week, put on some Public Enemy. Got 26 miles.
All inside? You didn't run outside at all?
No, can't trust it. Anyway, I did run it outside multiple times, believe it or not. I ran with Will, and then I had a couple outside runs. I want to get outside more and more. Just following doctor's orders. Once I can get through the end of this month, then it's open game. He just wants me to be a little bit more conservative. Just until the end of the month. He likes where I'm at recovery wise. I may do a sacrificial offering to these topos. And
Just don't give him the LeBron James treatment when he leaves Cleveland. Throw him out in the street and burn him.
But
That puts some bad juju in there.
You know what? I will say this. I am hoping to sign up for Yamacraw. I do have to see if I can make it work with work. I do think I have something going on with work around that time, but I'm hoping that I can get off on that Friday so that I can go
Which,
and run.
by the way, shout out, Yamacraw registration opens up on February the 1st, here in a few days. If anyone's interested, this year they have a 40-mile distance and a 20K distance.
Yes, but no kids race. That's one of the big things. There is
Right.
no kids race this year.
Yeah, had to do a little bit of rerouting due to some construction and things going on the course. But if you're interested in coming down and supporting a local race,
Here's the other thing, because I will speak about this race all the time. If you are running no business this year or any year, Yamacraw is a great way to get familiar with that area because it's deceptively gnarly. There are some pretty technical spots out there, and a lot of it is shared horse trail. So you do have to. It's just something you kind of got to get used to. So if you're
does
planning on
anyone
running no
remember
business,
And look, hold on a second. Hold on a second. There's two facts in life. One, I'm on the crotch of every Yeti race, and Garrett is on the crotch of every no business or Yamacraw race. Okay, two facts here. Okay.
well,
So,
you can't say I am on Yamacraw because one, I've never run it,
it
but
doesn't.
I
It
do
doesn't
think
matter. It's the same flipping course, bro.
here
You're on it. Okay.
we'll phrase it this way. For every Jason Green race you're a fan of, I am a fan of Brian and Shelley's races,
And I love Brian and Shelby.
or to the same extent. We'll put it that way.
They are two of the best people out there,
Mm.
hands down.
Mhm.
Just top shelf race directors. I'm just giving Garrett a hard time.
Speaking of
Uh,
Brian and Shelley, they have a race coming up too, which needs
wait a second. Before we
volunteers.
move on from
Oh,
Yamacraw, what's the race date on it? Does anyone remember?
May 18th.
May 18th. There you go.
May 18th.
So
See,
maybe
I
you'll see
remember.
us out there volunteering. We don't know yet. It's a little ways off, but come hang out with us.
yeah.
Come hang out, volunteer if you don't want to run it. It was
But
my
Jason,
first.
do you have any other races on the calendar this year? I mean, I know you
Not
said you're going to
nothing
sign up.
yet. Nothing yet because I was waiting to see how I was going to feel. And honestly, I'm honestly concerned that I'm even going to be able to run Yamacraw without.
So what if you just what if you just jump in the 20?
Well,
Why do you have to do the 40?
I don't know. I'm just honestly, and it sounds terrible, but I'm so gun shy with doing too much too fast too early.
You need a sports psychologist. Those are a real thing, and they actually really help. They talk to people it's mainly professional athletes, is my understanding, but they talk to people coming back from devastating injuries. Now, I don't know as though I'd call your planner devastating, but
You know what? I'll just
but
I'll just call Dr. Ruth and move on.
there
And
you go.
nobody got that joke. So
No,
I
I
anyway,
got
was
it.
going
Unfortunately, I got it.
okay, well John got it. So or Dr. Phil. I do think that
Dr. Phil's a real doctor.
you know what, ultimately I want to run it, and I think I could probably do it. I think the cutoff is 12 hours. I think even if I was conservative, I could easily get that done in 12 hours. My fastest, I mean, in my prime, I was running a 50K in around on a very easy surface around in the low to mid fives, I think. Of course, I'm not anywhere close to that now. So I think I could easily run 40 in under 12, even with me like just slogging along it.
When you said that, I just pictured the guy from Duck Dynasty. I'm in my prime.
I'm not in my prime. I'm old and worn out, but I am. I would like to run it in all seriousness. And there's a few other things I'm looking at. Obviously, I'm going to try to get into the Flying Monkey in the fall/winter. Um,
I mean, what
the
else is on your
only
radar? You're not doing 100 this year, are you?
I'm not doing 100 this year. I do. You know, we've got several trips planned. Obviously, we're going to New York next month or in March, and we're going to London and Spain in September. So no races in around that time. So ideally, I might could do something in August if it was local, which unfortunately the Warhorse is gone. Um, which sucks. I actually enjoyed doing that race, even though it was just really brutal because it was in the sun all day. And but it was local and it was close to the house. And then you know, I think probably realistically what I'm looking at is the Flying Monkey in November, as long as I can get in. Um, hopefully Yamacraw, and then maybe if I could jump into something else at the last minute, you know, who knows? But yeah, I mean, I think without knowing how long it's going to take me to get back to my normal self, because I'm really struggling just running at a decent pace. I'm reluctant to sign up for like anything like super major.
Sounds like your
But
24 might be my 23. Just if you get into something great, if not, it's not the end of the world.
well, I hate to say it, but like like running has just kind of moved into a secondary thing for me. And now since all my kids are like grown up, like me and my wife are really focusing on like us and like traveling. And this is not to be morbid, but like I don't want to be too old to walk and be able to get around, So
Nah,
like
you want a
Yeah, I
scooter at
mean,
Disney. Come on, you want a scooter at Disney.
I would scooter the hell out of Disney. Okay. I'm talking about being able to go like somewhere real. So like, yeah, so we're doing, we went to Japan last year. We're going to London and Spain this year. And but not to say running's not important, because I do have some things that I've got going on in my head. I'm not going to talk about them, but that I'm hoping to possibly do at some point. John knows that I want to do Scar at some point. Him and I've talked about this one off together multiple times. It's just getting in shape to do it. I would prefer to do it in the
did
summertime.
that backwards. It actually starts there, and yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's
technically, you could do it the other way too.
you
I
could.
and honestly, the more I think about it, I would prefer, if I want to do Scar, I would really like to do it like when it's warm outside.
So actually, I got another fun one I would love to do up here. Don't know when, nowhere near like a timeline on it, but are you all familiar with the Benton Mackay Trail?
Yes,
You say that like I know anything. I barely know the trail
I
names by my own
asked.
house.
That's why I
dude,
asked.
Liberty,
That's why I
Liberty,
asked. Let
Liberty
me educate you.
Dude, Liberty runs the Benton Mackay Trail like all the time, and
Yeah, so Bint McCaa, for those who don't know, was influential in the creation of the Appalachian Trail in the, I believe, 1940s or so. Anyways, the Benton MacKaye Trail traverses multiple states. The total trail is around a couple hundred miles long. But there's a section in the Smokies here, right? That's 95 miles. And that would be a really fun traverse to do.
I've actually
What
heard the
what
Benton
would
Mackay
crewing
Trail is
that be
pretty
like?
epic.
And even for some of the more adventurous people, since it also starts at Fontana or Davenport and ends at the other side, some people do a double where they'll do the Scar plus the Benton Mackay. So
Well,
just for like a full
overachievers.
circle around the park.
Those are the people that have a pair, okay? The people who don't have a pair only does one of them because they're a bunch of sissies. So unless you do both of them, you're not real men. John, you
Well,
better
I
get
guess I
on
ain't
it.
a real man.
Oh, oh, it's on my mind. It's on my mind.
Well,
Got a
you better take it
got,
off your
got a
mind and put it
couple
on your legs, buddy.
got a
Somebody on this
couple other
look,
things.
somebody look, hold on. Somebody on this podcast actually has to run. Okay. Obviously, Garrett and I aren't the ones that are really doing it on this show. Okay. So we need you to kind of fill in the gap for us. Okay. So you can be the
Someone's got to
runner.
add some legitimacy to the show, is what you're saying.
Well,
Oh, but
we do need a little bit of street cred.
luckily for you, there's a couple things that are what's the word I'm looking for? You got a couple sparks going on besides like the 200 miles I already have on the calendar. So there's some things that are starting to cook here.
You know what? Speaking of cooking, I think I'm going to cook into hopefully running Special Kids this year, which is one of the best races locally in the middle Tennessee area. So if you're local and you're looking for a great race to run, Special Kids is, other than the fact that it goes to a good cause, Special Kids is one of the best local races in the middle Tennessee area you can run.
What's the race date on that this year?
I think it's March 7th. Let me double check the old calendar.
I've
That's
started to
still
see some Facebook ads and people talk about it in some running
I think
circles, so I
March
know it's coming up
31st
soon.
is when it is the last day to sign up if you want like a shirt.
March
that's
31st is the last day to sign up for a March 7th race. Cool.
No, January 31st. It's run sign up, so it always throws me off. March 9th, race.
still a 5K, 10K, 15K.
It appears so. Yes.
I can't remember if they took away the 10K or not.
Hold on.
15K is such an odd distance. Why not just round it up and make it an even 10 miles?
Hold on. I've got so many ad blockers on my phone. It's like shutting everything down right now.
It's probably because you have an iPhone.
No, 15K, 10K, 5K, and 1 mile family run. So I'm thinking about jumping in the 15K.
Garrett's going to bring Larkin so she can start her storied running career, as well as test out the waters to see how she'll be for a pacer.
She she might bring her bike. That's what she's really into right now. She's riding her bike around the house because it's too cold to ride it outside.
Do you stand next to her shouting "Banga, banga, banga"?
No, but I did tell her that when it's nice, I'll take her to that little loop here in Spring Hill, and I'll just run next to her while she rides and learns to ride. Gets practice.
So So before we end the show, because obviously it's going off the rail here at this point, um, we have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Garrett is working tirelessly on finding us some top shelf guests, and we're not talking about the ones at like the Deja Vu Lounge in downtown Nashville. We're talking about high quality guests. Um, I've got a person or two that I'm looking to line up to bring on, and we're looking really to kind of branch out and do some different things. Obviously, having Aaron Saft on here, who is a high caliber coach and a high caliber runner really was received very well. So we're
Well,
looking to really kind of
I mean,
see what else we can do.
we can go and say who we're bringing on next month. So February 18th, we will be interviewing Aaron Hale. That name may or may not sound familiar. So Aaron Hale is the first blind and deaf person to finish Badwater. Not only that, but he's run Boston, I think five times. So um, he has a super interesting story, and the more I listen to his podcast and other podcasts that he's on, the more I'm like geeked out and amped out for this. So, gonna listen to some more podcasts, make sure we're not asking the same questions, kind of figure out which way we want to take it. But he has a super interesting story. To summarize it all, was a former chef for a three-star admiral in the Navy. Wanted something more hands-on. Became an EOD tech. Got blown up by an IED that took his blindness. Then bacterial meningitis took his hearing. And now is not letting that stop him. And he owns a fudge store. They make fudge and other confections out of their house. So I bought some fudge, and I will be sure to give you a glowing review on how that fudge tastes when it
You
gets here
better go
sometime
on
this
Google
week.
reviews and give that man a 5-star review, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
So, and
so
his podcast is Point of Impact with Aaron Hale. If you guys want to check that out, so feel free
so
to
so
familiarize yourself with him.
so check him out because he is a phenomenal human being. Um, just amazing to be able to do what he's able to do with the obstacles that I don't even want to say they're obstacles, but with the things that he has put in front of him are truly amazing, and we're fortunate to be able to have him on the show. Until we get until we get confirmation on the other guests that I'm looking at, I don't want to
Sure.
for sure say, but we definitely have some more high caliber runners slash coaches that are coming on, looking to bring Aaron Saft on regularly, hopefully, to talk coaching with us because he is, even though Garrett and I don't have a coach, he's John's coach and he's became the coach of the show. By default, we
Very much one
appreciate
of those.
Aaron.
Hey, John, why don't you ask Aaron this next time you have a coaching call?
That's right.
Hey, John, act like you have plantar fasciitis so I can figure out what's wrong with my foot.
I mean,
And for those who care, it looks like it's going to be the 49ers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Of course
So,
it is. Of
yeah.
course it is. So,
Yes, it's pretty much over. So
I don't
it's
know. Still 3 minutes on the clock. Lance could make a comeback.
I don't think so. It's a great thing about this room. I have like a 50-inch TV in front of my face. I've never utilized it until tonight. But anyway,
You probably
uh,
refused to pay full price on that as well.
he got it on a Black Friday special.
I did get it. I did get it at Walmart at a very good price.
Of course you did. You haggled.
During COVID. But I digress. But yeah, we have a bunch of stuff coming up. We are working tirelessly to bring you guys the best real content. Tonight, obviously, was not good content. Just joking. But we are looking to bring on some really inspirational folks, some folks who can talk about running, and then pepper in between that our BS that we like to bring you week in and week out because obviously that is something that some of you like to listen to. So we do appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that listens to the show week in and week out. And I just wanted to say that and we are working hard to try to bring you super good content and we got a lot of stuff that we're hoping to do so that's
If
that.
anyone's interested or knows a lead on anyone they would like to hear on the show, feel free to slide into the DMs and we'll see what we can work out.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. If there's anybody you got, send us the names and we'll look them up and
What I'm learning very quickly is there's a lot of connections with a lot of people. So I have not met a connection to Killian yet, so just don't even go there. But there are some other big names that I could pretty easily get at least an introduction to try to put my foot in the door.
Let me tell
So
you the most terrifying text message that I ever sent was when I emailed Jeff Browning. Okay. Jeff Browning Jeff Browning is like Jeff, excuse my language, motherfucking Browning. Okay. He is like, other than Carl Meltzer, he is like the king of 100-mile running. Okay. This guy's like, he's like a legend in ultra trail running.
And
And so,
that's saying a lot too, because Jason's not afraid to talk to anyone.
right. So, I mean, I'm like Garrett, I'll talk to an armoire if it looks nice. So I emailed Jeff. This is back when I had my Inked Up Runner show. And I had no idea like what he would say. And like, I was emailing anybody that I could and text messaging anybody I could because Ryan Pluckelman from the Adventure Jogger really kind of just said, look, you just gotta send it out and just look, either they're gonna tell you either there are three things are gonna happen. They're gonna tell you no, they're not gonna respond, or they're gonna tell you yes. And so that was my mindset. And so I emailed Jeff, and to my surprise, Jeff said yes, and it was the scariest interview of my life. But you know what? It's not going to hurt until you ask. And it was one of the best interviews I ever had. It was even funny because you would never know it in the middle of the interview, but his dog needed to go pee in the middle of the interview. And he asked if we could pause the interview so he could let his dog out to go to the bathroom. And so we literally paused the interview so he could let his dog go out to go to the bathroom. But the guy was phenomenal. And it's interesting because in our world that we are in, people are so friendly and so welcoming and so willing to talk about what they do that it's not that hard to get
Yeah,
folks to come on and tell their story.
yeah, I mean that's something you don't see in any other sport. Like if we wanted to have Christian McCafferty on the show right now, how
Screw
accessible do
him.
you think he would be?
right.
I
Screw
mean,
Pat
not this minute
Mahomes.
because he's playing a game, but
Screw Travis Kelsey. What?
All
Sorry.
right. Before Jason's mouth gets the better of him here. So,
So yeah, I think that's it. Hot take wise, my hot take is simple. The NFL is a fixed system where you know what they have their people they want that's going to be in the championship, and it's just how it is. I mean, crappy ass officiating in that Chiefs game, missed pass interference calls, um, you know. And I will say this much: the Lions are just going to lose. I mean, they actually didn't get the 49ers. Actually, are not a team that
they're stacked.
referees really don't give a damn about the 49ers. They do care about Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift. So that's what gets the ratings, and that's what the NFL wants. So that's what they're going to do. So,
here's my hot
anywho,
take: is you can't be a Titans fan in any context or situation root for the Ravens in a ball game. It
you
just doesn't
can
work that way.
you can if you don't like the Kansas City Chiefs.
You can if you don't want to see Taylor all over the Super Bowl.
Let me tell you something. One of my greatest football memories was when Tom Brady rolled up Pat Mahomes like a freaking fruit roll up and chewed his ass up in the Super Bowl. That was one of my greatest freaking memories
Do you
of the
remember the
NFL.
last? Do you remember the last play of Tom Brady's Patriots career?
Oh, that was when he lost to the Titans.
Yeah, he threw an interception to, I believe, was it Logan Ryan?
Logan Ryan.
Yeah, he ended Tom Brady's Patriots career. So
That
the
was
Titans
Broke
awesome.
him.
ended. So the Titans ended that dynasty.
That he
Broke him.
they ended that dynasty, and then you know what? Then he went on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he made Pat Mahomes uh trash and beat him in the Super Bowl. And that's all I care about. You know what? He rolled up the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. And I say he because you know what? Now let's be fair here. Bill Belichick, he's trash. He's gone, right? Tom Brady was 90% of that team. Bill Belichick was 10% of that team. And we see it because he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He wins a Super Bowl. He's a champion. Regardless if John cares or not. I know Garrett likes him, so screw off, John.
I don't like him. I don't not like him. I respect hard work and I respect winners.
And he's a winner. So there you have it, folks. Tom Brady's a winner. Lamar Jackson is not a winner. Pat
No, and he does
Mahomes
not
is a
deserve
winner.
an NFL MVP award this year. He hasn't played at an MVP level.
No, he should not get an MVP award. After losing that game, he should not get anything. He should not get it at all.
Like he had a couple good games, but I mean, what has he really done to earn an MVP?
He doesn't deserve it. Losing that game, he doesn't deserve anything.
But the MVP voting is based on the regular season.
I don't care. He doesn't deserve it. He's trash. Anybody who loses to Pat Mahomes is trash. I'm saying it right now.
Speaking of
Sorry,
trash,
I've had some alcohol tonight.
let's go ahead and end this trashy episode.
That is it, folks. We at the Trail Trash Podcast love each and every one of you. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Have a good evening.